My name is Miles Chukra, and today we're going to be talking about the country of Libya. So, a couple facts, interesting facts about Libya and the continent of Africa. In Africa, there are only a handful of countries that allow dual citizenship. Among those that don't allow them is Libya. And Libya is kind of more traditional in the way that they give out citizenship. Unlike the United States, they don't allow citizenship by birth. It's only by descent and family members. So if you have ancestry that and lineage that ties to the people of Libya, then you're able to get a citizenship. So what's the deal with Libya? Like, what about Libya? What is Libya? So Libya is one of the biggest countries, if not the biggest country, in Africa in landmass size, but also has one of the smallest populations in Africa. It is one of the top oil producing and exporting countries in Africa. It has a population of 6.8 million, which makes it one of the smallest countries population wise, which also accounts for a high GDP per capita in that country because there's so little population as opposed to other countries like Nigeria that have 121 million people. And it possesses the most oil reserves in Africa and one of the most oil reserves in the world with 48 billion barrels. Libya is also a member of OPEC, and along with other countries like Saudi Arabia, Nigeria, Venezuela, that are top oil producing and exporting countries in the world. So, what we're going to talk about today is what's going on in Libya. So, the main topics that we're going to address are the oil production in Libya, the impact of the coronavirus on petroleum exports, and public relations in Libya and the impact on oil production. Crude oil and oil exports are the primary exports in Libya's economy. Although they do export resources like gypsum, oil is the primary and most prominent source of exports in the country of Libya. Before 2011, Libya had reached 1.6 million barrels of oil per day, which is quite a bit for a country and a population that small. However, the production had slipped in recent years because of issues and conflict within the country's borders. Most recently, in 2018, they had risen their crude oil production to 1.03 million barrels a day. As mentioned in the previous slide, tensions are high in the country of Libya. In 2011, Libya had a huge civil war, which caused oil exports to go down, oil production to go down, and because there's no stable government, regimes like Al Qaeda and ISIS are vying for control in the country of Libya, which makes a lot of things unstable. Libya has been one of the highest exporting and producing countries of oil in Africa, but due to the conflict in those civil wars, it has dropped below normal amounts that they normally produce prior to those conflicts. There's a current civil war that started in 2014 that's still ongoing, that is still making it harder for trade and imports between the countries because of the still ongoing and uncertainty within the government. Coupled with the current pandemic, the exports of oil production are continuing to slip to new lows, and they're dropping day by day, not just in those countries, but just in the entire globe. With the recent news of the pandemic, the world has almost come to a halt. The economy has slowed dramatically, and many experts are worried of the future impacts that they might have in many areas, and especially in oil consumption and production. Many petroleum and oil exporting countries are struggling to keep their economies afloat in the wake of this pandemic. There are several ways that the coronavirus has impacted the oil trade, including with travel restrictions to try to slow down the spread of this virus, has caused many countries to slow down their exports and trade. And also due to the strain of finances that countries are facing, the demand of oil has dropped and the price of gas and petroleum have reached new lows. Since the birth of the pandemic, oil heavy exporting countries have steady decrease in exporting numbers. So that's the main point of this presentation. As I stated before, Libya has been one of the top oil producers in Africa, and they have the most oil reserves out of all African countries at 48 billion barrels. And due to recent internal struggles and conflicts within the country, i.e., their civil wars, past and present ongoing, and also the unstableness of their government, trade and oil production have slipped below normal values. In today's world as it stands, Libya's oil exports, along with other exporting countries, continue to slip as demand for oil continues to drop. Are there questions, comments, concerns? Well, thank you. This has been my presentation on Libya.